Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Measurement Week. We studied length last week using our ruler and at the beginning of the week. And at the end of the week, we are now cruising into another type of measurement, which is weight. So when we are trying to figure out an item's weight, we want to know how heavy is that item, or maybe even how light is that item. So last time we used a ruler as our tool to help us figure out the length of the item. This time we're going to be taking a look at scales. Scales are the tool that we use to help us figure out the weight of an item. The unit we used last time was inches, which could be found on our ruler. This time we're going to be using pounds as our unit of measurement on our scales. So a pound is the weight that a loaf of bread could be. And we use this as our unit in the United States. Here are some different kinds of scales that you could find. Digital scales, which you might be most familiar with. A kitchen scale, where you set the item on top and then the weight of the item will help the little arrow to change. And then over here, we have the hanging scales, which you might have seen in a grocery store before, where you actually put the item in the little basket and then it pulls down how heavy it is. And then again, the arrow will change depending on how heavy or how light the item is. So when we're measuring pounds, we can use that to measure food. We can use that to measure books. We could even use that to measure ourselves, like when we go to the doctor's office. So let's practice measuring using our scales. So they have a big jug of milk sitting on a scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the numbers on our scale. For this scale, we have 0 and then a little dash, which is actually holding the place for a half, 1, a dash, which is holding the place for 1.5, 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds, 3, and then 3.5 pounds. So that's the maximum weight that this scale could hold. So we follow the arrow down and it's pointing right at the 2. So we know that the answer to this is the milk is about 2 pounds heavy. Pineapple. So this scale is the same scale. We have the dashes for the halves, but our arrow is in a different location because it's a different item. So if we follow our arrow for this one, it's pointing directly at the 3. So the answer for this would say the pineapple is about 3 pounds. Now let's look at this scale. It does look a little bit different for a couple of reasons. One, this is a hanging scale. So they have filled this hanging scale basket with apples, and that basket is being pulled down. Now, in this case, you have 0, and then you have a dash, and you have 2. And then you have a dash, and you have 4. So we have to think, there's a number missing between 0 and 2 and 4. So we know that these dashes are not holding the place for a half of a pound. It's actually holding the place for a full pound. The dashes are the odd number pounds, and you can see the even number pounds are labeled. So if we take a look at this arrow, it's pointing directly at this dash, but there is no number. So we have to use the clues around us. So we have a 4 above and we have a 6 below, which must mean the apples are about 5 pounds because that's the number that comes in between 4 and 6. All right, let's take a look at our final scale here. We have filled this basket with oranges. So again, we're going to take a look at the scale. It's the same scale, so we know that our odd numbers are on the dashes. And this arrow is pointing at the dash in between the 2 and the 4. So again, we're going to use our clues. Think about what number comes in between 2 and 4. That number is 3. So we could say that the oranges are about 3 pounds. I hope you guys have a good time weighing and maybe even weighing yourself this week.